Live from Austin, Texas. Welcome to Tate Talks, the podcast where successful business owners go for the latest ideas on sales, marketing, hiring, and success. Get ready. Here is your host, Chris Tate.
Welcome to the show. I have a very special guest on today. His name is Elvis Fisher. Elvis, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Chris, what's going on? Glad to be here.
Hey, man. So, we've known each other for a little bit, but for those of us that don't know who you are, man, kind of give us a little bit of your background, life story.
Background, life story. You want the cliff note of the actual book?
Let's go somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between. So, I guess to start off the story, I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Tampa, Florida. All right, so I went to St. Petersburg Catholic High School, and from there I really got into football. And during my high school, I couldn't play football until 9th grade, and I played all sports up until then. So I got into football, really big into it. Was fortunate enough to get offered for the University of Missouri to go play football there, Division I college. So I committed, went to University of Missouri. I went there for 6 wonderful years, and you're probably asking yourself, some people only get 4. Yes, the lucky ones get 6. I had numerous injuries, probably 14, 15 plus injuries / surgeries combined playing at the University of Missouri, and I got 6 years, 2 medical red shirts. But all the years that I was able to start, I was a starter for them. I was a 2-time team captain. I got my undergrad in general education. And then I got my master's of education, sports psychology. So I have a master's degree as well from the University of Missouri. From there, I was fortunate enough to come back off another injury and play 1 year professional football with the New England Patriots. Right. And after that, I got injured there in my last knee surgery. And I decided I wasn't going to play football anymore. I don't know if it was more my choice or my body's choice or the league's choice. Nobody wanted to get me. Yeah. And I was just I kind of just broke past with football, but I still wanted to be in it. Yeah. So I've always been into nutrition and fitness. So I tried to get on as a graduate assistant at University of Missouri. And then through a couple people that I know, they informed me that you don't really want to do that. Let's go this other route. And let's check out some more personal training / group fitness ideas. And that was where my career path had started with Orange Theory Fitness. Through a mutual friend of ours, Josh Fry, got me started. He was actually a strength coach at Missouri. So I knew him. We took our master's program together. And so he said, come on back to Florida. And I had no inkling to go back to Florida, anything like that. I had no... I wouldn't say desire, but it wasn't in my path. I didn't even think of it at the time. So I went down there and met him, saw what Orange Theory Fitness was, and I said, awesome, I'll meet you here next month. I'll move down. So I just moved down, and that has been the past 6 years of my life. And then so I recently stepped away from Orange Theory Fitness and the many hats that I wore doing that for the past 6 years, which is a great opportunity. But now I am a business owner. And my business is called Better You Performance. It's a sports performance facility, general fitness facility, one-on-one programming, more along the lines of, I don't like the term personal trainer, but I do like the term coach. I've been coaching people for as long as I can remember, and that's pretty much what I'm doing today.
Awesome, man. Well, I want to dive into a couple of those things because it's pretty interesting. First and foremost, I'm a Pats fan, right? So I got to find out about the Patriots locker room. Mm-hmm. Give me a story, man. What do we not know about the Patriots and kind of their organization like that you experienced while you're down there?
So one thing that, I've been asked this before and people are like, give me the insider's details. Like, is Belicheck really this hard-nosed guy, doesn't talk to anybody? And I tell you what, he's the complete opposite. So Belichick, from day one, right, I met him in his office, and as soon as I met him, he goes, Elvis from St. Petersburg Catholic High School. I talked to your high school coach. So they do their research. When they say that the NFL goes back some years, they go back your whole career.
What happened with
Did you watch the documentary on Netflix?
I did.
There's a lot of interesting points on that. I'll save my opinions for later. Yeah. But no, so Belichick, he's not this. That's the hard-nosed guy that doesn't talk to the media. That's just him not letting outside sources affect the family, is what he calls it. And that's kind of his whole mantra, right? So, but when we're in meeting rooms or we're one-on-one, that man is hilarious. Funny guy. He'll chat with you. He'll cut it up with the rest of you. But when it's time to work, it's time to work. And I realized within the first week I was there of why the Patriots were the way they were, because I was there in 2014, and that's like, I think that was like the in-between year. They went like Super Bowl, my year, Super Bowl. That was really good, really fun, right? Really great for my morale. Right there, yeah, cool. So, no, you could really tell why they were the way they were.
Okay, awesome. And so that was a Brady year, right? Was he hurt that year, or was that the year that he hurt his knee? Like,
man, I can't even remember, to be honest with you. Tebow was there as well, so I'm pretty sure that was when he hurt himself, because Tebow did play a little bit. I'm not 100% there, but Tebow was on the team, yes.
Gotcha. So you get out of the NFL, and who coaxes you to go back to Florida?
So that was Josh Fry. Okay. That was Josh Fry, pretty much.
And was he involved with Orange Theory at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
He had just got involved probably 4 to 6 months before I moved down there. So he was in it a little bit before me.
Okay, so what was the process like, kind of getting involved? Did you have to like audition? And you hadn't done group fitness prior to this, right? It was more so just like one-on-one training.
You know, I really didn't do any fitness at the time. I wasn't doing any fitness. The only coaching that I had was at my time in Missouri. I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching with the players behind me. Yeah. So I was injured quite a bit. So I had to do I traveled with the team still. Yeah. I was 2-time captain, so they really wanted me to be there and help the offensive line. I was almost like a semi-coach, right? I was like a stand-in coach. I was on the sideline helping with plays and helping with footwork and all that stuff. But I never was a certified coach, or I never kind of did any one-on-one or group fitness, anything like that. And I just wanted to get into it because my degrees were all in nutrition and fitness, and I had sports psych. And I knew I wanted to be in training people or in some sort of sports realm. So I looked in to being a graduate assistant at Mizzou, and he was a good buddy of mine that I knew had been through that program, and he wasn't doing it anymore. So I wanted to pick his brain on it. So I just called him, and I was just like, "Hey," nobody called him J2 back then. His name was just, I said, "Hey, Josh." They used to be called Fryman at Mizzou, so we used to call him Fryman. He don't like that very much. But so I called him, and I was just like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And he told me. And so my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, I said, "Hey, let's go down and just I want to show you where I'm from. I just want to take you to Florida." She never been. And I was like, "Let's just load up, go down there. You can see the beach. Just take like a week vacation." I just retired. I just wanted to get away for a little bit. She goes, "Yep, all for it." Went down there, and I guess a couple days in, I texted him and said, "Hey, where you at?" And he goes, "Meet me over here." And that was the Orange Theory Fitness St. Petersburg location. So I think that was Studio 0004. I think it was like the fourth one. I think it was the St. Pete one. I can't remember, but old one, right? So met him there. I went in, and everyone was wearing orange, and the lights were going, and he wasn't coaching. He just got done. And then another guy, Josh Wishman, was coaching that class. So that if you guys are listening, you don't know these people. This is just a long line of bald-headed, bearded guys. Just one coaching, one talking to another one, right? And I said, "Man, I love this." And I sat down with him. I think we went to lunch. We just kind of chatted about the process and how that was. Sure. Enjoyed the rest of the vacation. I called him when I went up there. I said, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to move down. What does the certification process look like?" And he sent me, both Joshes sent me some links on certs and how to go about that. And I ordered the packet, ordered the study material. Took the test probably a month and a half later, probably like 4 to 6. It wasn't much. Passed it, and I said, "I'm ready to move down." And I moved down probably from Florida to them. Maybe that was a 3-month span, maybe. So I moved down there right around October, right around my birthday. And then it's just kind of a
history.
Yeah, that was it.
So obviously, you're in Austin now. So you moved. Obviously things went well, and you got an opportunity to be a partner, I believe, in the studios here in Austin. Mm-hmm. How did that whole thing transpire?
So back in Florida, I guess I took really naturally to coaching, and I really liked coaching, and I moved up from coach to like an elite coach, and then all these little quotations. Then they promoted me as a head coach within the year, and it's kind of like I got my first taste of being a manager per se and how to run a team and trying to do scheduling and all that stuff. Yeah. But I was at South Tampa then. I moved up to South Tampa head coach, and I love that studio, and the members are awesome. That's another big studio. And then I kind of got linked up with Terry Belicheck. So he used to be the owner of those studios, and then there's a whole history on how that turned out, but then he came out to Austin. He kind of sold off his areas in Tampa and came out to Austin. So Josh Fry moved out to Austin probably 6 to 8 months before me, and he was like, hey, talk to Terry about this and that. So I contacted Terry. We went out and kind of just grabbed coffee, and he was just chatting with me about an opportunity to be a part investor in Texas. And I said, I love that. I love that. I love the progression. I love the opportunity. It'd be a great move for my wife. And during those times, that was when my first daughter was arriving. Okay. All right. And so I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to move out here, and I took it. I took the investment opportunity. It was a hard leave to do that because I had just bought a house in Florida. I just got married. A couple months I was about to have a kid, right? And then the kid came, and so all that was happening in like a 3-month span. And then I moved across country to Texas. So I had to sell the house, lost money on it, and then came out here. But it was a great opportunity to move to Austin. I've been here for about 3.5, 4-ish years now, and my wife and I love it. Love Austin, love the area, and we're very grateful that was a great opportunity that we had for sure.
It's awesome. So, when you moved up to Texas, the studio that you were part of, Triangle, Texas, broke all kinds of records, right? Attendance, revenue. I believe at one point it was top 5 studios in the nation. What do you feel like? Why do you feel like it was so successful, number one? And just kind of break that down. What do you feel like made it so good?
Everyone has, I think personally that the studio was so great, not only because of, for number one, it's a great location. That triangle, the area that's in is an awesome location. But just because you have the spot and location doesn't mean you have a place where people want to go. So I believe that our culture, the people that we started with, coming from the manager side to the sales desk side to all of our coaches that we had there, we had a super great lineup of people. Just when you walk in the door, made members feel like they were part of a family. It didn't, when you walked in, it didn't feel like it was a gym. It was just like it was a culture thing. You knew everyone by name. Everyone said hi. You know what their kids are doing. You know what their work schedule is like. And I think that just getting to know, the reason it was so great is because we had such a great people that worked there that knew everybody, and it felt more like a family versus a gym or a job.
Sure. Do you feel like as the Austin market grew that, I know that a lot of the original coaches that were there went on to be head coaches at other locations. Do you feel like it kind of diluted the talent pool a little bit to where like you weren't able to provide that same level of service, or do you still feel like it's there? Like, I know you left a little while ago, but.
So some part of me feels, I don't remember who was saying it, but I think the owner of Carrabba's was saying, I heard him speak one time, and he was saying that, like, if I have an all-star staff at my one location, if I open up another location, I'm just going to start over from scratch. I'm not going to pull people into that because they are what makes that location great. Sure. So I get that, but I also get the opportunity for growth, and people want to grow. And not everyone wants to be just a coach their whole life. I know I didn't. I wanted to grow and have those opportunities. So with growth comes a lot of opportunities, and comes a lot of opportunities for people that have been great and excelled to move on and try to do something different. Do I think that it does kind of take away from the studio if people are always moving in and out and coaches are here and there and staff is new and they don't really know the members? Yes. But great teams and great leaders kind of try to keep that intact as much as possible, try to keep it in-house. And I think that the one cool thing about what Orange Theory was is, like, if a coach did move on, that they would still come back and take class. Or if they went to like another studio a mile away, you could still have members come into all the studios. That was the cool thing about Orange, where they could go to all the different studios and see their favorite coaches. And still has not only, it would not just be the culture of the studio, but then it turns into the culture of the region, which is good for growth. But sometimes there's some negative and some positive and everything. You just got to pick out as many positives as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, you were the head coach and regional coach there for a long, long time. Tell me about like your management style, because I worked with you pretty closely, and it was pretty fun working with you because you got a really good personality. But kind of give everyone an insight into like how you managed your team and how you grew coaches, because a lot of times what I noticed is a lot of the great coaches kind of came from underneath you. They were trained by you and then went on to be head coaches elsewhere. So kind of give us an idea on that.
Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all. But the biggest thing, I think that a lot of it has to do with just the background of being in sports psychology and how the mind works, and how people who people who want to work harder for people who don't think they're always being asked to work harder. So what I mean by that is, if you have like a drill sergeant ramming you and telling you everything you're doing wrong and all this negative stuff coming at you, you don't want to work as hard for that. But if you have someone who builds you up and gives you choices and provides a lot of opportunity and choices for you to make a right choice, and when you make the right choice, you get praised for it. So not only did you make the choice personally, so you chose to come in early and take the class. Yeah. You chose to say this instead of that when you're coaching. You chose to do that. And then when you get praised for that, that builds intrinsic motivation throughout each individual that is working for you. And not only do they feel good about it because they chose it. I mean, you might have wanted them to do that, but you can't force people to do anything. So when you have a staff that's making choices based on they wanted to versus they had to, you have a happier culture, in my opinion. So I'm not a real drill sergeant getting your, people when they first meet me, like, oh man, this guy's going to be all in my face. But contrary to popular belief, I like to have fun. I like to joke around. I like to make people feel welcome. I like to work hard, but also like to I think if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then why do it anymore? So I'm a big believer in that. And I think a lot of the coaches that I have worked with and they've worked underneath me have expressed to me in one way or another that they enjoyed working for me because it was a fun atmosphere and they felt like I appreciated them, but they appreciated me giving them choices and opportunities. So awesome. Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah, I definitely got to see that firsthand. It was always fun to come into the Triangle Studio. I still actually have that video when, do you remember that? So I'm walking into, for those of you who take a picture, I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm walking into the location. Elvis sees me out of like the corner of a window, and I open the door, and he pops out. And how tall are you?
6'5".
6'5". So Elvis is 6'5". He pops out, and I'm like 5'6". And just goes, scares the crap out of me. And like for the rest of the day, I think I had heart palpitations. Yeah. Remember, I was like grabbing my heart.
Oh yeah. The AED was hooked up in the back.
Killed me. Yeah. But it was definitely fun to work with you, man. That was the good old days. So how did you get into Better You? Tell us about Better You and how that transition was. At what point did you decide like, I'm not going to teach at Orange Theory anymore, and I want to open my own business?
So biggest thing for me is when I was doing Orange Theory, training, I don't want to say it come off as a negative way, but training the regular person, right, is a whole lot different than if you're training athletes. It's a different realm, it's a different mindset, there's all different capacities of that. I didn't really think I was going to ever quit Orange Theory, but I was definitely looking to get into more coaching. I miss football, I miss the sports, I miss being around it, I miss being around athletes and an athlete mindset. So I really was just putting some feelers out there to, there's a lot of members around that have their kids in high school, and I was just I threw up a Facebook post just asking about who knows some high school football coaches in the area. And I mean, there's like hundreds of comments. So I just kind of weeded through and called a couple people, went to talk to some people, and I ended up meeting the Hyde Park head coach here, Coach Peterson, and he was just like, hey, I knew you from your time in Missouri. Like, he just knew who I was, and that's because, I don't know, football and college football, coaching is such like a tight-knit group. It's not like a huge number of people that do it. So when you go to like conferences, you're going to the combine preps or anything, like, you pretty much run into the same people. That's just how like the fitness world and coaching world is. You just kind of run around the same circles. But so he knew of me, so I met with him, and I was like, well, what does it take to get on here coaching, like maybe offensive line or something, just kind of get my foot in the door? And he was like, is that really what you want to do? And he asked me that question, and I really was just like, no, not really. I was like, no, not really. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I said, I wanted to train athletes. Like, I've always, since I was like 13, 14, as soon as I started to get into working out, I've always said I wanted to own my own gym, and I want to take steps to do that from day one. And so I said, I really want to own my own gym, my own performance facility. I don't just want to have a typical gym where there's weights and you can come in and lift. I want to be hands-on. I want to write programming. I want to see people come in, develop, leave, and succeed. That's kind of what I like. I want to see that progression. So he hooked me up with this guy named Anthony Brown. He's local here. He has a big 12,000 square foot facility. He goes, you should come see him. He trains some track athletes and he's got a facility. So I just called him right after I left that office, and he picked up the phone. He goes, "Hello," and I was like, "AB." He goes, "Yes, sir. Who's this?" I said, "I was Elvis. I heard about you from Coach Peterson," and he goes, "Yeah, he just texted me. Come on out." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So he just texted me locations, and within 10 minutes I was there. And I went to this facility and I saw it. I said, "Man, this is awesome. How can I get hooked up with you doing something out of here?" He goes, "I tell you what, whatever you need, you got it." And I mean, that was literally whatever I needed. He didn't charge me rent to work people out there. He didn't make me do anything out of the ordinary. He just said, "If you got people, bring them in. We'll talk details later." He just wanted me to hit the ground running. So I had probably like 3 people, right? I had like 2 people that I just trained for generic fitness. They're still, people, just regular people. I call all my clients now athletes because I think I was an athlete. But these were just general fitness people that wanted to work out. And I had one athlete that was a lacrosse player. And I probably trained them for maybe a month or 2. And I realized, man, this is what I want to do. So started doing research on gyms around the area and what I need to do and all this. And I was like, man, you got to create social media. You got to get a social media presence. Right. So I did that. And then I started doing things on mindset and positivity. And I show workout videos and just kind of all the clients I'm working with, just little things like that. So I started an Instagram and it just kind of evolved into something that people wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I realized at one point that I wasn't giving my all to Orange Theory anymore. Right. And if my all's not in something, I don't want to do it. Right. So it wasn't a thing of I dislike Orange Theory. I love the workout. I love the people that I worked with. It just wasn't for me anymore. Right? Right. So if something's not for you anymore, you can make a choice of, being negative and just kind of giving it a half-assed effort, or you can take the choice and move on correctly and then do your all in what you want to do. So as of January 1, I kind of put in my notice there, and that was hard times because I've knew some of those members since day 1, 3.5 years ago when I opened up the studio. Yeah. So it was very emotional, very hard day. All my classes were like 60, 70 people in it. I know that's not corporate approved, but there was a bunch of people in there, just ran the class. They wanted to come take class. So it was very emotional. They got the cake, balloons, a lot of cars, a lot of tears, a lot of hugs. I made sure to stay back and give everyone a big hug for all my classes, but it was a good departure. And as of January 1, I was just doing my own thing, and it's been a heck of a ride. I continue to learn stuff every single day. Being a business owner, and I guess entrepreneur or whatever you want to say, but doing that is definitely challenging, but it's rewarding because it's all for you. It's your name. Your name's on it. Yeah. And if it fails, you failed. If it succeeds, you succeed. You succeed, right? So it's kind of all on you, and I really like that I can work with people. I can write my own programming. It's all on me, right? If I mess up somewhere along the line, which I have already, and I don't see myself I see myself messing up more. I don't see myself never messing up again, because then that means I'm not trying something. Yeah. I always want to try something new. So I just continue to learn, continue to grind through, and talking with people like yourself or just in the area and just kind of learning as I go.
That's awesome, man.
Couple things on that, right? So I want to talk about your social media first, because I feel like it's phenomenal, right? Like from someone who, when did you start your Instagram page? Like a few months back, right?
Maybe like 2 months ago.
2 months ago, okay. And how many? You already got like what, over 600 something people on there?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right away.
But for someone who traditionally didn't do social media, you're pretty damn good at it, man. Tell us about, I love the positivity stuff. Like even for me, when I wake up and I see one of your posts, it's like, yo, get up, you got to go do it. Like, where does that come from? Like, why are you preaching that positivity everywhere? Kind of what's the foundation of that?
So the foundation of that is really takes me back to Missouri and my injuries, right? So I used to call it injury season. That was the off season, right? So when I during the football years, I would get injured and get hurt, and I would do all my surgeries in the off season. So I had a bunch of surgeries, and I've had both shoulders and knees. But when I first tore my knee and I had to sit out for the season, no injury or surgery had prevented me of playing until now. So that was like a big one. It was my first left knee. I tore my patella in half. Boom, snapped it, kneecap went out. I couldn't even walk on it, but they made me walk out the field. Rub some dirt on it, right? So I was in like a funk. I got surgery. I didn't want to leave the house. I was just like, oh, woe is me attitude. You know what I mean? I didn't really want to do this. And that was going into my senior year. That was the end of my junior year. Going into my senior year, I was I was a big time draft prospect. I was graded out to go somewhere 3rd to 4th round if I would have left, but I wanted to come back for my senior season. All my friends stayed. I wanted to stay. I wanted to finish up, schooling and all that stuff. So I ended up staying. I hurt myself, and then I kept blaming other things that happened instead of like taking responsibility for me. And what my strength coach at the time, Dr. Pat Ivey, he noticed that, and he said, you should go talk to Rick McGuire. He's the track coach, is Dr. Rick McGuire. These are like the founding fathers of sports psychology and all that. There was not a sports psych program at Missouri. Pat Ivey and Dr. McGuire were trying to make one, and I went and sat with Dr. McGuire, and he just kind of was talking to me, and he gave me some books to read, and I was reading through them, and he was offering applied sports psychology as an elective for this major, and I'd already graduated, so I was like, well, I didn't even plan on finishing my master's. I was like, I'm going to be in school, I got to take something, and I'm just going to sit around, and I had no plans to finish the master's, but I did. I ended up loving it, but I took that, and I tell you what, I was hooked just from the minute of being able to take negatives that happen to you, and you can only control how you respond to things, and everything in life, if you make a choice to do something, it'll get done, right? So if something's happening to you and you reflect out negatively towards it, it's going to be a negative situation. But if you give off positive energy towards it, you're going to turn it into a positive. So all of that stuff incorporated into our football program through our coaches, and I was really fortunate to be around those guys that accepted that. And there was some coaches that were like, oh, this is psychobabble bull, this doesn't really mean anything. Those are like the old school ones, but if you really do research, and now they have there's a bunch of great podcasts out there that I can show you that talk about sports psych, applied sports psych, and all these big names are out there doing it, and they have studies to prove their findings now about how a positive mind is more creative. It gives off more endorphins. You're more amped to receive positive vibes to you if you set off positive vibes. It's just, there's a lot of studies that prove that now, and I was glad that I got into it when I did, because I finished it and it just changed my whole mindset on the rest of my life. Just when it comes to relationships, or it comes to working, or it comes to working out, or it comes to doing something challenging, or if something negative hits your life, it was a life changer. So when I put out the videos, it's just kind of things that I have said in the past to people, but they were like, well, you should make a video about that. And so, I kind of started like Mindset Mondays or Minute Mindset, because I guess Instagram, I realized the first video only gives you a minute unless you go on like some live thing. I don't know how to do that. So.
TV, man.
Okay, I don't know what that is. Yeah, so I haven't tried that. But, so I was like, I got a minute to talk about something to help somebody. And people seem to got a good response. And then not only does that get the word out there, but then it leads people to, oh, he's training people too. Well, what if I want my kid to be involved in positive sport. I want my kid to have a positive coach. I don't want my kid to be yelled at and cursed at. And again, you don't want that with your youth. I mean, it's a sport, right? So it's not like they're playing for $1 million contracts. And even then, you still want to have that positive vibe.
I think that's such an added bonus. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time when I had walked into Triangle, and I had said something to you, or you had asked me like, hey, when are you going to start taking my class, or something like that, and I made up some excuse, or I said something was going on, and you said, well, you know what, you're right, not with that attitude. And I sat back and I was like, yo, he's so right. So I feel like everyone needs that kind of person in their life, and being in the personal training world myself way back, and then coming up with Orange Theory, there's a good amount of coaches and people out there that are good trainers, but they don't have that whole aspect of uplifting you and giving you positivity. I feel like everyone needs someone like that in their life, and not a lot of people do have positive people around them. Usually if like you're negative, it's probably because you have negative people around you. So it's a really good outlet that, number one, you're training people and getting them good health, but also preaching positivity, which is amazing. So the going to open your own business, it's you had a really good career at Orange Theory. You were probably making some decent money there. Talk about how you decided to go into being an entrepreneur and running your own business, knowing that, hey, right off the rip, I might not have all the clients, or I might not be making the same money to make it in Orange Theory. It's a big decision. How did you kind of decide to go about that? And, what was the point where you just ripped the Band-Aid off?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to touch on what you said previously is if you have negative people around you, you're going to portray some negativity. But if you have positive people around you, if you have people, and this is things that I've heard a lot, and I've been fortunate enough to have positive people around me. So when I come up, like, your friends and family are going to be the ones to deter you from anything. It's not out of hate or anything like that. It's just because they don't want to see you take the risk and fail, right? So if you have like this massive idea that you want to do something and the people around you are like, oh, you don't want to do that, so they'll talk you out of it before you even take a step forward. So I think that the main thing for me was when I was talking about doing a facility or training athletes or training other people or having my own gym, I would, my dad, my stepmother, my wife, my friends around me, they never were like, oh, don't do that because of this. They said, well, you can do that. Why don't I haven't done that before?
Right.
So I think that not only played a huge role in helping me decide when to leave, but it also set me up for the fact that these are people that I trust, that I love, and even if I fail, they'll still love me regardless, right? So it was like, win or lose, it's like I still want to go out there and try, right? So if I put my everything into it and I win, I made it. Yeah. If I put my everything into it and I lose, I still can be at ground one. At least I tried. If I don't do it and I never do the what if, and I never knew, and then I live my life with regret, and I don't want to do that. And I learned that from my football day. I just don't want to live with regret, right? I want to train as if it's going to be the Super Bowl every single time I step foot in the field. And I want to approach every day as if like this is the last day of the business ever, and I want to make it succeed, right? So it's like game day every day, and I want to do that. And you have to bring that mentality to it. So, but with that said, you also can't just quit without a plan, right? You got to have some sort of plan, something in writing. And one thing I'm big on is every year since I believe 2012, I heard we had a speaker come to University of Missouri and talk to us about writing things down and putting them on paper, because when you think about it, great. But when you put it on paper, that's your body's response to, hey, I'm going to do this now. Right. And you tape it somewhere. So there's many motivational speakers out there that talk about writing your goals and dreams and all that stuff down so you have a plan. So every year, I see you got the book there, right? Awesome. I put it in my notes on my phone. So I have it on my phone. I always look at it. And sometimes I'll screenshot it, set it in my background if I got something that I want to do like in a month. Yeah. So just so I see it every day. And so I write down my goals every year. I write down family goals, personal goals, and business goals. And I didn't start doing business goals until a couple of years ago. And that was kind of my first thought of like, how am I going to transition? How am I going to do this? What do I need to do? Right. And it wasn't, the end goal, obviously, have my own gym and be successful, right? But that wasn't step one. Step one was to like, read a book on how to run a gym. Step two, talk to other gym owners in the area. Step three, actually train people and see how that goes. Step four, train people one-on-one. So there's like big steps to get there, and all of that leads up to your big goal. So I just started putting that plan into action, and it just came to be.
You mentioned that you had a lot of people supporting you. Obviously, that's great. Did you have anyone that was like, oh, I don't know if that'll work, or maybe you shouldn't?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's tons of that.
You want to call them out right now?
Never want to call people out. Never want, I don't have any. There are people in my previous business company that were like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to leave, and that could be twofold, right? It could be they actually don't believe I could do it, or it could be they just don't want me to leave because it'd be a big thing for me to leave. Sure. So I don't know what the way is. The only thing that I know how I can control is how I respond. Okay. So if somebody comes at me in a negative manner, I can just be like, hey, thank you, and then I just move on, right? So you always have a choice in how you respond to people, and life is about choices. So I just choose to ignore them and move on. But there's tons of, and there were some of my friends, and I'm not going to sit here and act like, everybody that encouraged me didn't have a question towards me. But questioning and doubting is different. Like, if somebody brings up a good point that I have to, I have to think about that. Yeah. That's not a negative thing. That's just, hey, what if this were happening? You got to have a plan for that. Yeah, so, yeah. But yes, there were just straight up, don't do this, don't do that. Yeah. It's dumb. You're not going to do that. It's not going to succeed. But if I listened to that my whole life, I wouldn't be anywhere. Right?
I feel like, 99% of people that, they talk a lot, right? They'll say, like, I have these dreams of doing X, right? And they'll never go through with it because of that one or two people that were like, that'll never work.
Yes.
What advice do you have for those people in terms of shutting out that negativity?
It's hard to hear sometimes, but if some of those people being negative to you are probably the closest people to you. They're probably your best friend, the the best man at your wedding, or it's your spouse, or your mom or dad, you can still love them, but you don't have to let them in, right? So my biggest advice is if you have something that you're wholeheartedly about, and you put the desire out there in the world, right? So it starts with like a burning desire, and then you have your plan, and then you try to, you do it. You have a set date that you're going to accomplish something by, and you go do it. If you're having people around you that are telling you not to do that, you got to cut those people off so you can go forth.
Wow.
I mean,
it's a hard conversation. How do you do that, man? Like, let's say it's like your mom or something, right? Like, say, Mom, I love you, but
I tell you what, I haven't had to have a conversation with my mother, but if I did, I'd say, Mom, I love you, and I love that you care about me. But just to let you know that I'm a grown up, I can take care of it. I understand your concerns. I'm putting a plan in action to convey those if I need to, right? To combat those if they arrive. So have faith in me. I come from you. You wouldn't do anything stupid. I'm not going to do anything stupid. Let me do this, right? So
that's awesome.
Would definitely just try to have some words, positive words with people, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you've been gaining a lot of attraction, a lot of clients. Every time I look on Instagram, every time I look on Facebook, new clients are signing up, training with Elvis, right? Better You. How are you going about getting clients? Obviously, you've had some pretty good training from the OTF days, but does a lot of that boutique fitness stuff apply to what you're doing now? Have you brought any of that over, or are you just kind of learning as you go?
So the biggest thing that helped me, with clients is I've in the community, I've built up a name just from working at other jobs, and people know me as a trainer or as a group fitness coach, right? So they don't know the one-on-one aspect of it. Now, in group fitness, there's a lot of people who aren't moving properly. They're not moving functionally. They need like one-on-one help before they can kind of excel in a group fitness setting, right? Because group fitness classes in my former job would get up to, 30, 40, 50 people. And for one coach to keep your eye on every single person every single minute is not feasible, right? I can get to everybody in the class, but I can't coach you every minute of that class, right? So the basic understanding is when you come into the room, you have to have some sort of knowledge of how your body's moving in space, right? So the biggest thing is when people are looking for, and who I'm trying to target for one-on-ones is, yeah, I'll take you if you want to work hard and you have great form and everything, but I want to help the people who may have something up with their shoulder, or they may not be squatting properly, or they have they're come back of some sort of injury. Right? I know a lot about coming back from injuries. So how I've been gaining clients is just pretty much word of mouth now. I mean, I started Instagram. I haven't had anybody hit me up on Instagram saying, hey, I saw your post on Instagram. I want to sign up with you. I've had people say, hey, I heard through so-and-so that you're doing training. So the number one way that 100% of my clients come from word of mouth. And that comes from friends and family, or it could come from a parent at one of the other gyms. They want me to train their kids because I do the sports performance side. And then in my background and credentials do speak for themselves. And I'm not some guy that's just kind of faking it. I've done it. I know how to roll. I know how it goes. And I want to do it. And I want to help. So really, word of mouth and keeping people happy. Right? If you put your customer first, they'll take care of all your marketing for you, right? If you treat them well and they see results and they love you as a person and love what you're offering, they'll tell people, and people will.
100%.
Yeah.
What's the big vision for Better You? Like, where is this going? Where is what's the end goal for this?
End goal is I want to have my own facility. I want to have Better You performance on a building side. I want it to be, I don't need it to be a huge space. When I envision my facility, I don't envision it 10, 12, 15,000 square feet. I envision it maybe 5,000. It's not huge, but it has everything I need in there, from racks for lifting to a little open space for field work and any kind of drills you need to do. And I have a concept that I don't even know if I want to say it all out loud, but there is something, I want it to be where it is a gym and an open gym style, to where like it mimics the big box gyms where people can come in. Sure. But I have this, open gym concept, which is not new. But the open gym concept is something like, hey, my gym's open from this time to this time. You pay this set fee. You come in and you can work out. Not your own workout, but I'll have like a daily workout it'll be up on whiteboard, and I'll have a whole exercise library of things, because I've learned coming up in the business that people like the visual aid of exercise. They like to, everyone likes to see the DVDs or up on TVs. They like to see it, and then they do it. People monkey see, monkey do. So I want to have a whole exercise library of all the exercise that I have. And if you have a question on something, you just, what's a pause box squat? Or what, for example, you just go type in pause box squat, and it'll show you a tutorial on it. It'll be me, and then that way you could do the workout of the day in the gym. So that's kind of, then I also have my group classes because I love being in group settings. I think group settings are key for everybody. I love it. It not only builds you up, but you're with friends. You're more amped to let loose a little bit. You probably work harder. You probably see the person next to you doing some heavier or moving faster. Like, oh, I got to step it up a little bit. It challenges everyone. It rises the level of competition. So I love the group. I love the one-on-one trainings. I love the sports performance aspects of it. I want to do all of it under one roof. And I would like to have other coaches in there as well to kind of grow the brand. But I don't see, my envision is not 10, 12, 14, 16, 1,000 studios. I don't need that, or studios or buildings or any kind of thing like that. I just want my location. I want it to be me. I want to put my name on it. I want to do this for the rest of, I want to just be there coaching until I decide I don't want to coach anymore. And then I make my exit from there. But, that's what I see it.
I feel like that's like strong too, because I think a lot of times there's like these big groups that come in, they see your concept, right, and it works, right, because of you. You're getting word of mouth, your expertise, your personality, you're what's making this facility amazing. That's a hard thing to replicate when you push it out and go across, states and cities in multiple locations. So I like the fact that you're focusing in on one location. It's about yourself. It's about the family in there, and that's what's going to make it great. And that's why it's been growing so far. So you talked about bringing on like other trainers, but there's two aspects of this, right? There's the sports performance, there's the classes, and then kind of you're just training more so like every day, maybe rehabbing injuries and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What do you have for classes? Where can people sign up, and what times can they get in?
So as of right now, if you wanted to sign up for a class, you would just reach out to me via my Instagram Messenger or my email, which is betteryouperformance@gmail.com. You can definitely reach out that way. I run 4 classes a week. So I run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday classes. So as of now, I run 3 classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. And then Saturday mornings, I run an 8 a.m. class, and I'm looking to add another one. I'm probably going to add some 6 a.m.s and some 6 p.m.s in there as well, because the attention, I want to keep it to 8 people. Like I want to keep it to 8 people. I am trying to get a platform where people can sign up via online. But as of now, if you were to contact me, you would just pay a certain membership fee, and I keep track of all that in QuickBooks and all that fun jazz and all that stuff. So, but there's no sign up app. You just have to text me and just say, hey, I want to come to the 5 a.m. And then I'm like, okay, see you tomorrow morning, right? There's no, if you don't make it, there's no late cancels, there's no penalties, there's no, oh, I owe this much for not coming. It's just a flat rate. You come any of the times you can come. If you come to, 4 times a week for the 4 weeks, typically that's about 16 sessions. It turns out to like $14 a pop. So that's kind of what the model that I'm going off of for the group classes. And it's group strength-based training. So it's not, I don't do any traditional forms of cardio, right? I won't make you, walk on a Stairmaster for a half hour. I won't make you run on a treadmill for 20 minutes or anything like that. I do have different cardiovascular challenges in there, true interval training, sure, but it is very much strength-based. I believe the best way to improve your muscle and improve your heart and improve your functionality of your body is to lift weights. And a lot of people get misconstrued by the concept of, oh, I got to do an hour of cardio a day. That's going to make me better. Well, I'd rather you lift weights for an hour a day. That'll give you 10 times as much results versus just running or walking or whatever you do every day. Not to say that stuff's not important, but my main focus is I want you to lift weights and have your body move properly.
Sure. That's awesome. Now, for anyone interested in like becoming a trainer, I feel like that nowadays, at least in my experience, maybe it's just become oversaturated with like actual locations, but I feel like there's less people becoming trainers nowadays. What would be your advice for someone that's super passionate about fitness as far as like a career route? Because there's so many you can go. You can go one-on-one at a big commercial. You can go boutique. You can start your own thing. You can be an Instagram model. Yeah. What's your advice?
I would say if you're trying to be a trainer, definitely get on somewhere to start. You got to get boots on the ground, right? So if you've never done it and you have no idea how to do it, because when I first started, I didn't know which way was up or down or how to get clients or anything. And so I started with a company that was already, established per se, but wanted to, they would give me some trainings and all that on how to do it, which is that's kind of what a lot of the big box gyms or other coaches that are out there have employees. They train them up on how they want them to coach. So I would say, if you're really curious about training, number one, look to, maybe look at some different certifications out there, read some books. Everything is on YouTube and Google nowadays. You can find all this. Don't buy them. You can just get them you can just get them yourself on the internet and all that. But definitely try to get on to a big box area or something that's popular in your area and just try it. Shadow, see what it is, and then try to take the proper steps in getting hired. And then once you're hired, try it. And then if you like it, evolve yourself from there. But to get started, man, I would just say number one, you want to have some knowledge behind it. So if you don't come from a background of training or working out, or I'm not saying if you come from nothing, go to the park and start having kids do ladder drills. Right. That's definitely not the approach, and that's definitely not how it's going to be done. That's not how it should be done. But definitely, find someone in the area that does do that professionally and see how they do it, and then try to get all your materials together and study up on it and how you should do this and how the proper way to coach it and how to relate to people, and then try it. Because personal training and coaching is just dealing with people. And so you got to be able to deal with some people, and you have to not only deal with the person who is so excited and amped and can do everything right and wants to be there. You got to deal with person B who doesn't want to be there, who can't perform this exercise properly. How are you going to not motivate, but how are you going to correct them and help them to be able to move properly, and then give them the encouragement to proceed as time goes on? So you have to work both ends of the spectrum.
I feel like that's one of the things that I learned early on when I was in my dorm room personal training people, is like you become almost, with one-on-ones, you become almost like a therapist of sorts, right? Like there's a big mental aspect to being a trainer. Mm-hmm. Because 9 times out of 10, I would take on like a client and we would spend most of the time talking, and that was from inexperience for me, not pushing them along and telling them to keep going. But how much do you find now that, your clients, it's more of like, it's half and half mental? Is it 90% mental? Like, where do you feel like it stands right now with your business at Better You? Because with Orange Theory, there's a lot of music going, so it's just, they're just there to do the workout, and you're just rooting them on. Whereas now it's one-on-one and that whole.
So that's a good, you make a good point, right? So I kind of learned that as well. So I did a couple one-on-ones here and there, but it was always very laid back-ish. But now it's more of like, this is what I'm doing. I really haven't done one-on-ones for a few years, and now I'm getting back into it. And you're right, coming from the Orange Theory and the group fitness and the music's blaring, and there's a lot going on, so people stay engaged. But when you're one-on-one, like you said, you got to kind of make conversation, and you have to, nobody wants to just be quiet for an hour. You also want them to have fun. So what I've done to try to spice it up a little bit is, in between sets or whatnot, or I want to get to know them as a person. So the more I know about them, the more I can relate to them, and the more they feel a connection, right? So not only do you want to have the connection, you have an hour with this, or an hour and 90 minutes, however long you're training them, you have that amount of time to make some sort of connection with them. And they're the only ones there. Yeah. So not only do you want to make a connection with them, but you also want to coach and correct them and give them some benefit of being there. You want to educate them, and you don't need to use big terms like all these, you don't need to name all the body parts by their official name, but you do need to talk to them in terms that they can understand, and that way they can perform it. You don't need to show off how smart you are to the eye. They already know you're smart. They're coming to you. They're paying for a service. They know you know what you're talking about. Sometimes, right? Yeah. Hopefully they know it, right? Yeah. But they're under that assumption that you know what you're talking about. So you just need to talk to them and build some value behind yourself. So if three different clients could process what I'm trying to tell them how to squat differently. There could be different cues, different things. So you have to just feel out what that individual person is. So not only are you trying to do some educational stuff, but you want to get to know them as a person. And then if they're amped to joke around with you a little bit, try to make it fun, interesting, joke around a little bit. But you definitely want to get some work done. We're there to work. So you also have to put on your coach's hat, right? And if you're taking too long of a break, I always keep a timer. So I know how long the rest period is. Hey, we got a minute. let me hear a joke or something, just kind of to break them in, and then they're laughing. All right, let's get on it. And then you switch gears, so that way they know when they're working. But you gotta keep them honest with that, because they came there to work out, and you want them to work out. You have a program for them. You want them to complete it, or else we're not going to see results. So what I've been doing is the group classes. I don't have a big sound system or anything like that. There is music playing, but it's nothing like what I've come from, where music's blaring and you can barely hear the person next to you. It's very, very intimate in the sense of it's just me, and there's only about 8 people. There could be 2 to 8, right? So it is almost like a one-on-one style. So I'm running around trying to help them with form, and I'm trying to build value behind my brand and what I'm talking about, and then also try to make it fun for all of them. So right now, anybody that I'm training, I know a lot. I know their name. I know what their kids' names are. I know, I have clients that come in and bring their kids. That's something unique that I can do. You can bring your kids to have them sit and just kind of chill in the kids area, and they come running up, give me a big hug and all that stuff. So it's like I'm part of the family, and they're part of my family. Sure. So they know my wife and daughter as well. They come up there. So
that's awesome.
Just try to make it more personalized, for sure.
That's great.
I feel like it's, fitness. Well, I want to talk about where it's going, but I feel like that's been the progression. It started off a long time ago with like the Bally's days, and then it evolved to like LA Fitness, and it went from, where people were signing up for like $10,000 personal training packages. Then the industry kind of moved to like maybe the at home, like the Bowflex type of stuff. Then we went to like the low cost models, boutique fitness. Where do you feel like fitness is going next? What's like the next big thing?
I don't know for sure, but I do know that just from what I've seen trends-wise, people they like to sweat, and they like to be moving. They like to do it, and they also like to see results a lot of time, whether it be right, wrong, or indifferent. Austin's a very tech community. They like to see it. So they do like that, but I think that the main thing that's sustainable is a workout that makes you sweat and you see results from it. So regardless of if you can see it on a screen or you're looking at live time on your watch, I think that people know when they have worked out, and I think they know when they haven't worked out. So, I don't know what the next trend is in fitness. Fitness has all sorts of trends, but the staple, the one thing that fitness is always going to be generated around is lifting primal movements, push, pull, squat, hinge, presses, and core work. Right, so that's like the staple of every program. So I don't see one-on-one coaching going anywhere. I think that people, regardless of the way our world is going, everything is at the fingertips of your phone. I think that people need interaction with other humans. It's kind of what makes us basic human beings. They want to talk to people. They want to get out. So I do think that, in a sense, it's hard to get those one-on-one clients, but people like the group fitness realm. They like the group fitness, but you make it one-on-one feel. Sure. They don't just want to be a number, but they want to be in their tight-knit group, and they want to be known that they're there. You know what I mean? So,
you want to know what I think is next?
Let's hear your thoughts on it.
I think pretty soon you'll be able to put on like glasses or some sort of helmet, and you'll be able to like look around VR style.
Can't you do that now with some of those games? What do they call it?
So you could like
Oculus.
Maybe. I think with Peloton, right, you're like in a class, right, and you can kind of do that. But I think like you'll like look around, and maybe it's through Oculus or whatever, but you'll be able to see, like me and you could take a class in 2 different areas, and I can look over and see you like pedaling around or something.
Oh man, what's that movie called? Is that Ender's Game?
I haven't seen
Where it's like that. You're in this virtual world, and you put the mask on, but you're just sitting there. But you can do everything.
I think I know what you're talking about. Where he like goes back and he has to recreate all those movies and everything.
No, I was talking about the one where it's like a big virtual reality, like it was like The Sims.
Yeah,
but it's like virtual. So you're just sitting in a chair, but you put the helmet on, then you got like this mobile. You can move around and do stuff, but you can like act like you're running, and it's just this whole other virtual life, and you can see your friends and all that. I think
that's where we're going eventually. I don't know if we'll see it, but it's coming.
I've tried one of those virtual things, and I get a headache putting one of the things on, so I don't know. But they said that too when they started with the cars, right? People, you're going too fast, and now look, we're in cars, so it might progress. Like you said, we might not see it, but our kids might see it for sure.
So anyone interested in getting involved in Better You, like you said, where can they go to find you? So Instagram, Better You Performance on Instagram.
You can type in Better You Performance, or you can type in Elvis Fisher, and it'll be a pop up.
Got it. And then your email is?
betteryouperformance@gmail.com. It's not better YOU, it's better you, the letter. Just kind of want to put that out there too.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming by, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure. And anyone in the Austin area, if you're looking to get better you, go see Elvis Fisher.
Chris, thank you so much for having me, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate you too.